My name is Gladys. I'm very, very excited. I draw a lot of energy from what we do because I came into this opportunity at a time when I was looking. Well, I wasn't looking for health. I was looking for an extra income. I'm a trained teacher at Kenyatta University. I did English and literature, and I truly knew that I didn't want to go and teach in the classroom. But anyway, that's what I did. That's the course I did. But along the way, I had always admired to be a banker. So immediately after campus, after graduation, I actually did one application in a bank. I was watching news. I saw a bank was expanding. I did an application. I actually got called, and I worked with that banking institution for 5 years. On my 5th year, I quickly realized I needed extra money because, as you know, the world has changed. The interest rates have changed. The cost of housing has changed. Schooling had become, people wanted their children to go to private schools. I wanted to live in a bigger space, even as much as I was that young in working, and the money was just not making sense. And so in the quest of looking for something that was simple, very, very simple to do, not bulky, I got introduced into this through a meeting. And I was told, Gladys, let's go and look at an American company that wants people to work with them so that you can do business with them. And it doesn't need a lot of overheads. The only thing you need is just to talk to people. I was like, wow. I went to a meeting. I liked what I saw. And on that same day, I made a decision and I have never looked back. It's been 18 years. And I can tell you, as much as I was going because of the promise of money and because of the promises of travel, world travel, I actually now, my first benefit was health, because that's the core of what we do. That's the reason the institution we are with was started way back in 1958. And I remember going through this presentation on health, exactly like I'm going to explain to you. And I said, wow, I'm gonna do this. I was an ignorant mother. I got some fresh information that was very important for me as a young mother. And from that day, I've never looked back. And so if you're on this call, or if you've joined us today, I want to welcome you sincerely. For a very short period, I take you through the basic health, especially for us at such a time as this during COVID, so that we can be able to take care of ourselves, our children, and more so our parents who are in the older generation, especially during this COVID season. So many times we hear this saying that your greatest wealth is your health, which is true in one way or another, depending on how you look at it. Of course, there are many other wealth, because wealth is not just money. Wealth is many things put together. And so one of the greatest parts of wealth is health, definitely, because I tell people that body you have is the one that generates whatever else you will ever do. So when you're not in health, even making money, maintaining friendships, being active in the society becomes a challenge. And so with that, we need to know that our health is truly our wealth. And we need to take responsibility of our health. Why do we need to do that? There are several factors that we really ignore when it comes to health. And as you can see there, one of them is exercise. We hardly do the proper amount of exercise like we should. In the olden days, there was no need. We didn't have that kind of transport system that we have today. And people walked for kilometers, which was very healthy indeed. It was a real cardio, it was a real leg work. It worked. And people are not even obese. And so we are being told, you don't have to go to the gym. It's important to live an active life, especially in this time when we eat a lot of food. And then in the flip side, we are not as active to burn that as energy. So it is important for you as a person to have that regime to make sure that you're principled enough to do that, and to make sure that your children know the importance of that as well. The other thing is resting. You know, we need a 6 to 8 hours. I remember when I was young and we were in boarding, we would be forced to go for siesta. And we used to think it's a crazy thing. We used to get so mad about it. And it's a good thing. Even during the day, if you never slept well over the night, you need to have a power nap. Not to mention the 6 to 8 hours we need in the night, which are meant to help our body recuperate, are meant to help our body do so many things and fight off disease, and even reduce the stresses of life that we may have carried during the day. So resting is very critical. So even as we move into the era where there's so much to be done and a lot of stuff on social media, we have to be able to balance that. Then we need to have a proper diet. And that picture here depicts something very interesting, as you can see there. You can see there's this lady who is calling. There's that small voice that tells you, we are gonna start eating healthy. And then there's another dark voice that tells you, today I'm craving for chips. I wanna eat cookies. I want to bake. I want to do all those kind of things. And so we need to be able to make sure that we are doing the right thing when it comes to, we need to make sure that we are doing the right thing when it comes to our food choices. Then of course, right there are other things we need to look at. Sunlight, you need to bask so that you get your original vitamin D from the sun, very important. You need to take enough water, a minimum of 2 liters a day. Teach yourself to have a flask of water every day in your house. When you're seated there, when your cup is done, you refill that and you take. But of course, avoid taking water immediately after a meal. It's best taken 30 minutes before a meal. And if you can learn to take it when it's warm, sometimes you spike it with lemon, you alkaline it. That is still fantastic. Of course, the other elements, I'll not go into that for now. We are being told that what is happening is that we normally have what we call a health status. And when somebody is young, the health status is usually at 100%, going to maybe 90, 80. The other day, I don't know where I was, where I live, the young people sometimes go home at 8. And you see them running on the road. And you're thinking, goodness, aren't they going to crash into something? But we never crashed when we were young. We ran, we did hockey, we did cross country. And so you can almost envy a young person who is very, very vibrant and active. And that age comes to an end at around 20. 18, 20, people start slackening, they become more mature. They think when you're exercising, you're not being mature. I mean, you're being childish or something. And people stop exercising and people stop even eating right because you're no longer under your mom's, strict rules of the meals. And here is where people start missing meals or overeating and snacking anyhowly. And whatever else you ever craved for, that is the time people start buying because they can afford it. And then eventually, you find that people go to the tired zone. So basically what happens is as we move on, you find that, sorry about that. As we move on, you find that we get to what we call the zone where you're tired, you're even sick. People get into the sick zone. And you find that at the age of 40, moving forward, we have a lot of challenges when it comes to health. And even these are the people who are really getting affected with what is we know is COVID, which when it finds you when your body is not at its right parameters of immunity, you get compromised. And so that becomes a challenge. And we are told if you're not careful, then you live most of your life in the tired and the sick zone. Can you imagine? Right from the 20s moving forward. Those are too many years not to be excited about life. And so it's a high time to make a decision as an individual and as a family so that we can reverse that and you remain vibrant into your 50s, into your 60s to your 90s. We are told that the reason for this is 95% of the population, they are eating food that lacks nutrients, knowingly or unknowingly. 75 are deliberately consuming incorrect diet. too much sugar, too much drinks, frizzy drinks, a lot of sodas, a lot of starchy things. That is the in thing these days. Too many things with preservatives and additives. And that becomes quite a challenge. And so the scientists are saying we have a problem. And the challenge is, when you look at the World Health Organization, they actually projected that by 2020, that the trends would be quite challenging, where you find that out of every 4 deaths, 3 people die out of the chronic diseases you can see there: heart disease, cancer, diabetes, stroke, respiratory, and obesity. We need to understand these diseases. What are the major causes? And so we are able to prevent. It's very important. I remember telling a friend of mine in the US, inviting her for a cancer presentation. She says, I hate that word. It has killed very many people in my family. I hate it. And in my mind, I'm thinking the more reason we need to understand it, because if a family has prevalence of a chronic disease, then you need to make sure that you're there and working tirelessly so that you don't get into the statistics, and so that your children understand that that genetic element is in the family, they need to take care of it. And so you find heart diseases, they are tricky, and the first heart attack can be your last, or your first stroke can be incapacitating. Cancer is very painful, it's very expensive, yeah, and it takes a toll on even the caregivers. Lung diseases, so many people get challenges with asthmatic issues and bronchitis, and they live a very poor quality of life. Not to mention Alzheimer's disease. Diabetes is another one. When you're diabetic, your sugar levels are just spiking all over. And the more they spike or even go down, the more they damage your organs. And many other things, even hormonal issues, joint issues, kidney issues. Most of all those things are correlated to the things we've looked at previously there. So the World Health Organization is saying the basis of good nutrition is to make sure that you are adhering to the healthy food pyramid, where you have enough whole grains. And I'm not saying refined starch, whole grains, complex carbohydrates. That's the best word to give it. Complex, nothing going through the machinery and then graded in such a way that it doesn't come out the original thing that was put. Maybe if it's flour, it should come out the original, separating nothing. When it comes to fruits and vegetables, we need quite a number of those, a variety of them, moving from 6 servings to all the way to about 13, 14. And in those fruits and vegetables, we need our carotenoids, we need our flavonoids, we need our cruciferous. And then, of course, the protein, body building and repairing factors. We are told we need more of the plant-based because they make the body alkaline, and an alkaline body is able to keep disease away. And if we are taking meat or animal protein, let it be the white meat more. And the red meat is good, but eaten in moderation. Then anything that has refined sugar, fats, and refined carbohydrates should be minimally taken, okay? But we've inverted this pyramid upside down. All these things we have been told, we've actually messed up with them. And the worst bit is we are exposing our children too early to these things. So you find we've deliberately inverted these pyramids. And when we do that, our children even get affected. You find that our children, we find that we are feeding our children with the wrong diet, and that is not good. We are giving them a lot of sugars. We are giving them a lot of starch. We are giving them a lot of frizzy drinks. All the things in the fridge are no-go zone. So we need to be very careful and make sure that we reduce on that. We reduce of more of the animal protein, because those two categories on the upper side of that inverted pyramid, they make the body acidic. And an acidic environment is a very good place for bringing those chronic diseases we've seen. And there are many others we haven't mentioned, including dental challenges. Recently, I went through a dental challenge, And it was only one tooth, but man, I said, no way. This is not going to happen. I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm going to be careful. So we've inverted this pyramid. You can see the kind of diet that people are going for. Right from when they even are pregnant, they're always craving for the wrong foods. And even when a child is born, they are being given things that you can cry about. So it is very important to know that with this gap created, those challenges come. And so what we do in Neolife as an institution is a very credible institution. It's the longest serving health company in the world this far, since 1958. Research being done by very serious scientists who are ratified by the big organizations in the world, like the World Health Organization, the United States Department of Agriculture, National Cancer Institute, the Diabetes Association. And they're saying we have a challenge here because even the foods we are farming themselves have a challenge. We no longer do serious organic farming. We no longer harvest something from the farm and eat it, as it were. There's a lot of manufacturing, there's a lot of transportation, there's a lot of piling of those fruits and vegetables, and they lose their value along the way to coming to where we are. Some are harvested when they are raw, others when they come and they are overripe. Whatever it is, we have a big challenge, and hence this challenge you can see there with that solution. So Neolife decided, with the help of the Scientific Advisory Board, to come with something called a supplement. A supplement is not a substitute for food. We really expect ourselves and the people we are teaching to eat right, like we've seen in the right foundational food pyramid. Now, once you do that, since we know in between there are those gaps because of our farming challenges, they come up with something called supplement. And hopefully when you look for supplement, you need to make sure that it's made from whole foods and the science behind it does not incorporate preservatives, additives, colorings, or anything artificial. And that's what Neolife stands for, a rich scientific heritage. And with that, there's a money-back guarantee on the products. And most of those products are world firsts, ratified by other big organizations in the world. So you don't have to worry about that. You can do your own independent research. And so they came up with a power pack called ProVitality, which is the base. When you're thinking, I want a supplement, it's the base. For our children, we have equivalent of this. And so with the ProVitality, we have 4 core products. And let me just go through into them. You see them first, then I come back. You have what we call the TNN, the whole grain concentrates, coming to give us the oils that are removed in the processing of whole grains, because those are the oils that take care of our cell membranes, and they are needed on a daily basis. Then we have the carotenoid complex, very powerful antioxidant, and this one will boost your immunity by 37% in exactly 20 days, ratified and even patented. Then we have a product called Omega. We all need Omega Salmon Oil Plus, not any just fish oil. Other fish oils are good, but we have Omega, has major benefits on the heart, on the brain, on the joints, on a newborn baby, a fetus. All the organs require the Omega oils. So very critical there. Very important, we need a blend of all the vitamins and minerals. And so we have all the vitamins, oil soluble, water soluble. We have the minerals, the trace minerals, the macro minerals, and the micro minerals, that mixture. And of course, we have enzymes. We need enzymes in our system. So going back to where we were, that's exactly what ProVitality has. It's a 4-in-1 with TNN, carotenoids, omega-3, and the multi. And it comes and writes the inverted pyramid there, right working at the cellular level. The TNN opens up the cell membrane. So if you had unhealthy cells, they become healthy. The carotenoids protect the oily parts of our body wherever they are. The omega-3, they take care of the structure of balancing the cells. And then, of course, the multi comes to blend with metabolism and many other required things. And you know, one mineral builds with another one to do work, or with a certain vitamin to work, and you need that blend of all of them. So the ProVitality is a great product, and basically I'll leave it at that. For our children, of course, we have the set for products of our children. I'll not go into that right now. Then I'll not go into that. So ProVitality gives that proper balance. And it is great to know that that is the best starting point. And then, of course, you will